Welcome back to the special episode of Sports Zone. In 2011, it made headlines everywhere where Sachin Tendulkar met Roger Federer at the Wimbledon. While we all know of Sachin's love for tennis, you would be surprised by Roger's knowledge about cricket.
We all know that Sachin Tendulkar had started his career more than 2 decades back, as a result of which education took a back seat. But what very few people know that apart from cricket, Sachin had another passion.
The kids better not follow me. To stay away from studies, I used to play cricket. You better not follow me. It's good to study, better study. Cricket was something which gave me sleepless nights. I mean, I could not, even when it was dark outside, I would still play cricket. And eventually my coach would actually tell me that, you can't go on anymore. You have to go home now. So I think it's difficult for me to imagine my life without cricket. If at all, then I can say tennis, because at one stage in my life, I used to, on top of a terrace, I used to go there and with my brother Ajit, with a cricket bat in one hand and a tennis racket in the other hand. And he would carry tennis balls and he would keep chucking at me. And for 20 minutes it would be cricket bat, and the remaining 20 minutes it would be tennis racket. So I like tennis. I love tennis. I invariably watch tennis matches and enjoy quality tennis. So if not cricket, then maybe a tennis player.
That might have been a loss for Indian tennis, but it has been a big gain for Indian cricket. And of course, Sachin Tendulkar is one of the high-profile visitors at Wimbledon. And during one of his visits in 2011, he actually met Roger Federer. Now, that was a meeting of the Titans. After the meeting, Sachin Tendulkar tweeted that the Swiss master knows quite a bit about cricket. Federer returned the compliment, posting about his meeting with Sachin on his Facebook page. The Swiss star's knowledge about the game of cricket might surprise quite a few people, but then it's nothing unexpected. After all, his mother happens to be a South African.
Well, my mom's from South Africa, so you can imagine there's a bit of a, I can look at a heritage or a history, maybe in my family, or where I have spent some time as a kid in South Africa, and I probably would be a batsman, just because I like the idea of whacking the ball, instead of trying to get the other guy out. But I guess you got to be able to do a bit of both, and that's how you grow up as a cricketer.
In fact, during the 2011 Australian Open, Roger met the English cricketers as they were touring down under for the Ashes. And he ended up taking some questions from the English journalists, who were in good spirits after how the Ashes had panned out. I do follow cricket and I did see a bit of the Ashes. I know winning the Ashes is big news, so you should be happy that you have it. It's not always going to be like that, It changes, but they played well, said Federer about the efforts of the English team. That was played with a straight bat, or should we say racket. So don't be surprised if you see Roger Federer attending a test match at Lord's, or maybe even the Eden Gardens.
And it's not just Roger Federer. Quite a few high-profile football players have followed the game of cricket with interest apart from other sports. Some of those footballers were so good that they could have been professionals in other sports. Here's a list of the top 10.
On his day, Christian Vieri was one of the most feared strikers in the world. The Italian once bemused journalists when asked which player he idolized as a boy. Alan Border, he said. Like his hero, Vieri was a left-handed batsman, and he admitted to have found runs much easier to come by than goals. To which the former Australian captain was quoted as saying, "From what I hear, Christian would have made a damn fine test cricketer." Well, Australia's loss of the wicket became Italy's gain in the penalty box. If Christian Vieri's cricket skills stumped you, sample this. Gennaro Gattuso was a passionate cricketer. Gattuso is the type of player opponents dread taking on. His all-action, gung-ho style often gets him into trouble with officials. It was love at first sight for Ringier, who became a fan of the game after playing it in Scotland during a stint with the Rangers. So Geoff Hurst will always be remembered for his performance in the 1966 FIFA World Cup final. His hat-trick in the final against Germany gave England their only FIFA World Cup trophy till date. But he's also had a chance to play cricket. So Geoff Hurst played one first-class cricket game in 1962 for Essex as a wicket-keeper. From one striker to another, he's undoubtedly one of the greatest footballers England has ever produced. But not many know that Gary Lineker is also a fantastic batsman. When discussing his adolescent years in sport, Lineker was quoted as saying, "I was the captain of Leicestershire Schools cricket team from 11 to 16 and thought at the time I would probably have more chance afterwards in cricket than in football." From Lineker to another Three Lions mainstay. Gary Neville is an iconic figure at Manchester United. The former Red Devil was also an accomplished cricket player in his youth. A 14-year-old Gary once smashed a century alongside former Australian batsman Matthew Hayden. Gary's father, Neville, is a former league cricketer himself. A young Matthew Hayden even stayed at Neville's during his formative years in England. Hayden has talked at length about his association with the Nevilles in his autobiography, Standing My Ground. If you thought Gary and his father were the only footballers in the Neville family who played cricket, you're wrong. In another universe, Phil Neville would have been a glorified English cricketer. Phil captained and opened the batting for the English under-15 cricket side. Both the brothers had to quit cricket at the insistence of Manchester United manager Sir Alex Ferguson, who still thinks cricket isn't really a sport. Here's another Red Devil who would have made it big away from the footballing greens. Wayne Rooney is one of the biggest stars in the game. Wazza is no longer the firebrand he was in his younger days, but still gets the punch bag out if he wants to get rid of some excess anger. The 27-year-old gave up boxing to pursue a career in football, but the bug has apparently never left. He's good friends with professional boxer Ricky Hatton and is often seen enjoying bouts. Here's one man who could have given Usain Bolt a run for his money, quite literally. Arsenal's speedy winger Theo Walcott can run 100 meters in 10.3 seconds. Now, Bolt's world record time of 9.58 seconds in the 100 meters could have been well within reach if Theo were to train like a sprinter his entire professional career. He's one of the best players in the beautiful game. Zlatan Ibrahimovic's teammates are by now used to a few playful and often unprovoked kicks. After all, he's been a black belt in Taekwondo since his teens. He even received an honorary black belt from the Italian national Taekwondo team in 2010. So it comes as no surprise that Ibra is capable of gravity-defying athleticism that helped him score one of history's greatest goals against England. He was one of the greatest football managers the English game ever knew. Brian Clough won league titles at the Derby County and Nottingham Forest, a club whom he also led to 2 European Cups. He also played twice for England and is still the fastest man to 250 goals in the English League. Yet, when he was growing up in Middlesbrough, he dreamed of not being a great football manager or even a great centre-forward, but of opening the batting for Yorkshire in England. When he was the manager at Forest, he would regularly be seen at Trent Bridge watching cricket.
Who would have thought of those? But on that note, it's time for another short break on the show here. On the other side, we will track the path of an Olympic legend who is exploring a career alternative. Stay tuned.